Hello and welcome to Volume 2 of the Forged Alliance Forever Community Cast Series. Before we go into today's matches, I would just like to give a shout out and thank all the people that have been submitting replays. Really appreciate the support. I am looking for more replays, so if you've got anything that you want glorifying on a YouTube channel, then please feel free to chuck me the ID. Either contact me through the FAF chat lobby or email me at theslothgamer@outlook.com. In today's episode we have two matches. Enjoy, guys. We're back. Hello and welcome along to a 4v4. The map is Island 0. We'll call this team at the top Team 1 and the team at the bottom Team 2. Starting off with the players of Team 1, we have Sunbird playing Aeon in the colour blue. Sunbird is a 1300 ranked player. Next for Team 1 we have akanabiss playing Cyan as Cybran, akanabiss being a 1500 ranking player. And thirdly for Team 1 we have F-Odin playing in Old Man Grey as Cybran, and in the front spot, last but not least, we have Dro in white playing as Seraphim, Dro being a 1500 ranking player. And starting off with Team 2 in the front spot, we have ScrooLoose in teal playing as Seraphim, ScrooLoose being a 1300 ranked player. And then on the right hand side for Team 2 we have Heaven in green playing as Cybran, Heaven being a 1700 ranking player. And thirdly for Team 2 we have Shentonio in red playing as Seraphim, Shentonio being the highest ranked player for this match at 1800. And lastly for Team 2 we have thebeej, cool name, I like it, in yellow playing as Aeon. Thebeej is the lowest ranking player for this match at 1200. So already we've got stuff going on. We've got comms going forward, the most advanced of the comms being ScrooLoose. He's already marching to mid, sucking up the mass. Shentonio is also apparently on a walkabout mission with his comm, currently in the middle of the pond. F-Odin looks like he's bringing his comm out as well. Heaven going early navy here, just about to get his first frigate out, and not too much going on at the back for the thebeej, just grabbing his expansion I guess. And Sunbird looks like he's starting to walk his comm forward all the way from the back for Team 1, accompanied with some T1 units here, just a raiding party I'm sure. And Heaven there catching a engineer from akanabiss, sucking on that T2 naval wreck, killing it and starting to suck on it for himself. There's a lot of sucking going on. Shentonio marching his comm into F-Odin's base, reclaiming an engineer. And what else is he going to do? And he just starts to reclaim the Salem wreck at the edge of F-Odin's base. And F-Odin looking like, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do that as well. In the middle we have three comms forward from Team 2, and Dro is very lonely by himself, but sticking around nevertheless for some mass. Heaven there apparently thinking that his teammate was on the opposing team and spam building some units around him to stop him from moving, realizing his mistake. It's late here, he says. I'm sure it is. Dro and thebeej now going toe to toe, comm on comm. Thebeej just backing off as Dro just circles around with some Zooies, deciding where to aim them. And Sunbird now bringing his comm in to support Dro, and thebeej needs to start walking backwards very quickly because he's not being supported by his teammates, and you do not want to chew on Zooey volleys for too long. ScrooLoose now edging forward to support thebeej, who's now half health. It looks like he's going to get away as his teammates are pushing up to support finally. ScrooLoose just thinning the numbers out on the Zooies ever so slightly. And in the crazy comm base swap that we've got going on in the middle. Shentonio apparently destroying F-Odin's starting land factory. F-Odin on the other side at the periphery of Shentonio's base, not doing much. Going for a walk, it seems. Shentonio trying to get some sonar up. F-Odin has a move order pegged down. Don't know what he's going to do with that. We have a T1 bomber coming out from Sunbird, accompanied by a scout. Good target here just to take out some Thams. It was a successful bomb, but no kills for the poor little T1 bomber, and it's shortly to die, I imagine. And now it's aiming at the energy storage of ScrooLoose, but not managing to get any kind of a kill. And Team 1 now pushing forward with Zooey's. Dro looks like he's on an upgrade. Sunbird just getting some T1 PD now just to try and reinforce the position, and Dro pushing his units forward just to take out that max that Heaven built. Heaven heading over to his naval area, and on the left hand side we have Jesters being employed by F-Odin, who's also built a torpedo launcher at the kind of edge of where you'd expect Shentonio to be building his naval production. F-Odin also trying to get his own naval production back up. Heaven looks like he's on a T2 upgrade for a naval factory, and Heaven also on an upgrade here. Dro completing his gun upgrades, going straight into a nano upgrade, assisted by Sunbird for a very short period of time. I guess every little helps. Dro now pushing forward with the Zooeys. Is he going to knock Heaven off this upgrade? Heaven certainly isn't going to like chewing on too much Zooey fire, and promptly cancels his T2 upgrade and starts to move backwards. And Akanabiss' navy being pinged as a problem, but currently Team 2 only having, well, I guess they got enough to deal with it. 2 subs should be enough there. Heaven just telling his comrade to focus on the sub, and then we'll deal with the frigate that can't shoot us. And we have T2 Navy from the BJ. He's got his factory up, not using it to build anything as of yet. Heaven just over halfway on his T2 upgrade. The Sunbird going into a gun upgrade as well. And F-Odin still employing the use of Jesters just to bring them to the edge of Shentonio's area, just to pick off a few units here and there where they can. And ScrooLoose for Team 2 now pushing up with his own T1 units and some T1 units from Shentonio. Although not as many units now that those Jesters have just done a short run by to thin the numbers. And finally the BJ bringing forward some T1 interceptors to deal with the Jesters. They were far too useful for far too long as far as Team 2 will be concerned. And it looks like Shentonio dealt with the torpedo launchers that F-Odin had built. F-Odin now falling back with his comm. Shentonio's on an upgrade. Sunbird finishing his gun upgrade. At the front we have Dro pushing with his comm. Jaws pulling his Zooeys back, probably just to stay out of range of the opposing T1 units and let his comm thin the numbers out. ScrooLoose looking quite isolated at the front. He needs to be careful. Dro now bearing down on ScrooLoose with comm and units. Is he going to push those Zooeys in? First T2 naval unit out for the BJ in the form of a Vespa. Heaven completing his T2 naval upgrade and going straight into the build of a Salem. And Akanabiss completing a torpedo upgrade. That will be quite useful, but not for very long. And as far as the corner expansion goes, Sunbird getting the corner expansion for Team 1, and the BJ has a single engineer down there just getting a land factory up now. F-Odin asking his teammates for E. And ScrooLoose is really low here, 2000 HP. The push from Dro. Heaven now moving across to try and support his teammate. And Dro unfazed by this and continues to push with his own comm. I imagine Dro's got gun and nano. Confirming that Dro does have gun and nano. But nevertheless, he still needs to be careful with his comm. He's really isolated, but he does have a lot of Zooies coming forward. And Heaven also needs to be careful here. He cannot stay still. And ScrooLoose, who got himself safe, is now pushing forward again. I do not like this move from ScrooLoose. This looks positively suicidal, although he is backing off into the water, and Heaven now moving forward as the healthier comm to try and deal with some of this Zooey spam. But Dro just relentless with his pressure, taking out some T1 factories from ScrooLoose, and ScrooLoose has moved away from the water's edge, has to walk, and he's walking straight into the comm of Dro. ScrooLoose surely committing suicide here. The Zooies are going to finish ScrooLoose off, and we lose our first player at 11 minutes 20 seconds. Team 2 bizarrely down to 3 players. Gifted his comm to Dro, and Dro duly obliged. And Dro, no units accompanying, just decides, yeah, what the hell, we'll carry on. Heaven saying snipe him. I was thinking that 5 minutes ago, but then I am watching this in hindsight, I guess. Dro 2 overcharges on the T2 PD from Shentonio, turning his attention to the T1 PD, and Dro now spamming Zooies down the naval passage on the left mid side. Is that a core? We have a Corsair out, but it's from F-Odin. Not sure what the intended target was. He was probably aiming for Shentonio. And Dro now dropping into the red. But he has roughly the same HP as Shentonio. Dro heading for the cover of the water, but Shentonio exposed on land. Zooies coming in from the naval area. Is Shentonio going to make the water in time? I don't think he is, and Shentonio goes down. Team 2 losing their second player almost immediately after losing their first. Dro on a whiskers of health, and and I think Dro just walked his comm towards Heaven there, control K'd his ACU and took Heaven with him, and now we have a 3 versus 1. Dro just annihilating the opposition. Heaven saying empty slots worse than usual question mark. Well, Dro playing extremely aggressively with his comm, and we have a desync as the BJ quits the game. That smells like an Alt F4 to me. So Team 1 picking up the victory. How different would that game have gone if just a simple T2 air snipe on Dro had been attempted at all even? But not to be. Dro playing very well, very aggressive with his comm, using Zooey spam to great effect, and supported well by his team, I think. F-Odin outmatched by Shentonio in terms of rank, but you couldn't tell that in the match. So a good performance all around from Team 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at the statistics. So Dro getting 3 kills, which confirms that Dro did control K's comm in order to kill Heaven's comm, both low at the end of that match. And if we take a look at the relevant areas, Sunbird picking up 2 of the 4 categories, power output and stuff built. The BJ picking up highest mass income, although he has wasted mass, so the BJ really not using what he was generating, I imagine, although I was not paying much attention to him. There was far too much else going on elsewhere. And if we look at Dro, Eco, what's Eco? But a hell of a lot of kills for the Eco. And man of the match, straightforward choice, has to be Dro. Aggressive with his comm. You could argue that he should have died, but he didn't. And that's all you can do. So good job Dro, player of the match, and good job Team 1. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'll catch you in the next one. Hello and welcome along to a GB 4v4 match on a 20 by 20 map, Adaptive Point of Reason. We'll call this team at the top here on these 3 islands Team 1, and on the bottom 3 islands Team 2. There is one guest, non-GB member for this match, and that is Pope Melvin, coming in at a 1300, playing as UEF in blue. Second up for Team 1, it is GB's Mr. Overrated Death Squad in his customary cyan, customary Cybran. Third up for Team 1 is Mathew, playing in purple as UEF, Mathew being a 1200 ranked player. And lastly for Team 1, we have Dro playing red as Cybran, Dro being a 1500 ranking player. First up for Team 2, we have F-Odin playing in teal as Cybran. Second up for Team 2, it's KungFuPanda, green, going as UEF, Panda being a 1100 ranking player for this one. And third up for Team 2, we have GFY DePonny, the potato himself in pink. Suits you, sir. DePonny being a 1400 ranked player, going as Aeon. And then finally, we have Freedom in Old Man Grey as Cybran. Freedom being the joint highest ranking player at 1600. Mr. Overrated being the other 1600. So, early happenings. What's going on? Well, F-Odin marching his comm to the water, and it looked like he's going pretty early navy there, and everybody else just pretty much getting their opening builds going. Quite excited to watch this one. This is a really dynamic map, and I'm sure at some point I'm going to miss stuff, but just for now we're going to speed things up a little bit. Freedom getting expansion onto this rear outer island early. And we have a scout going out from DePonny and Freedom, just checking out the opposition just to see if anyone's planning anything freaky early game. Death, ledge building navy on his island. But F-Odin most definitely the first player into navy and marching his comm straight across the channel. And F-Odin having a move order queued up right to the edge of Dro's naval production area. So we'll just start to slow this down a bit. DePonny has a T1 bomber out. It has 1 kill. I assume there was an engineer here. There it is. And the bomber now lining up on these 3 engineers. It could be 4. The bomb goes in. And the 4th engineer arriving just in time to clump up with the other 3 and subsequently eating a bomb in the face. And it's not quite a hero T1 bomber yet, but it's done a damn good job, and it's probably gonna end its life on 5 kills. That's not a bad T1 bomber. And we have a drop going down from DePonny, who's doing an engineer drop into the periphery of Dro's core area, going straight into a T1 point defense build. Navy wise, F-Odin with an early push on Dro's naval area. F-Odin just pulling back his T1 frigate as he realises it's outnumbered, and the subs are moving up to support and will be much better off against the frigates than F-Odin's lonely one frigate. And F-Odin reclaiming the naval base of Dro here. And down it goes. No, it doesn't. There we go. F-Odin, well, that's one way to do it, I guess. And this drop from DePonny now, he's cleared off a max. He's got engineers going around converting the maxes of Dro. That's dirty right there. Dirty, dirty play. I love it. There's a drop in the north from Freedom as he attacks one of Death's expansion islands. Freedom currently free to do what he likes, if you'll pardon the pun. Not being harassed at all. Cannot say that really for anyone apart from Pope Melvin on the opposing team. And Freedom dropping the rest of his Mantis on the edge of Death's base. The Mantis now just swarming in, picking up some mexes and what will be a half-built radar and engineer by the time they're done. And on the other island, just clearing up the expansion mexes from Death. This is a really good, effective drop from Freedom early game, just to disperse and slow down Death. Same can be said for DePonny, who is lining up a further 2 drops. Although these look like they could be intended for, they are intended for Mathew's base. T1 Arty on both transports. The ping's gone out, so they have been seen, but Team 1 with nowhere to take out those transport as of yet. Pope Melvin not really doing a lot to help his team in the early game here. And those Mantis still parading around on Death's Island, being taken out by a quickly thrown together ghetto gunship by Death. And the drops coming in on Mathew's base now, being hunted down by Mathew's comm. And it doesn't look like that that T1 Arty drop from DePonny will be particularly effective. Certainly not as effective as the drop on Dro's base was, and Dro's still dealing with the resulting issues that drop has brought, just clearing up the maxes now that DePonny converted to his own colour. But DePonny not taking his expansion island as of yet. We're 8 minutes into the game. He's just going drop a Hontus, another drop on its way of T1 bombers, this one heading for Pope Melvin's island. There is an interceptor in the way from Pope Melvin. If it sees it, it probably won't reach its destination in time. And it looks like that T1 interceptor just picking up the scent of the T1 transport, and indeed it follows it in. And very fortuitously, I think it has to be said, the T1 transport taken down there before it reaches its destination. And in the middle, we've got a naval push from F-Odin. I nearly called him Frodo. A naval push from F-Odin. I nearly did it again. Frodo. And the numbers of Navy definitely on the side of Team 2 here. Dro just standing his comm, probably ready to just reclaim, just do what he can to stop Team 2 overrunning his naval position. And there's been another T1 Arty drop from DePonny into Dro's base, and poor old Dro, he's being relentlessly harassed in this early game. Meanwhile, Freedom just chilling out in his base. Looks like he's ecoing hard. And on the right hand side of the map, T1Panda has completed a T2 Navy upgrade and is going destroyer by the looks of things on that T2 naval factory. And finally, Dro getting some naval assistance and reinforcement in the form of Pope Melvin moving his units down, but they're in the wrong place because F-Odin pushing his navy forward into Death's area and denying Death the naval production that he'd got going. And really, Pope Melvin should have sent his units to reinforce Death's position to try and help Death keep some naval production intact, but not doing so, and only moving his units up after F-Odin really completing his mission. I keep wanting to call him Frodo now, and that is just not going to leave my head. It's terrible. Mathew now with his own T1 Navy swinging around the back of his island into the middle area and confronting a smaller group of T1 frigates from KungFuPanda. More drops look like they're being lined up from DePonny. DePonny 11 minutes in and no T2 and not many T2 maxes. What's DePonny got going on here? Let's take a look at DePonny's comm. I can click the bloody thing. DePonny, tell us what you're doing. So I assume he's on a T3 upgrade, which is fair enough, and we'll just hop back into Observer. And naval units are massing from both teams here in the middle as Dro tries to get his navy production re-established. And it looks like Pope Melvin just dropping off some engineers around the map to get some reclaim income. Mathew pushing his navy to the south just to, I guess, harass the area of DePonny. I'm not really sure what the main intent of this T1 frigate squadron is. I'd be pushing them down and killing the maxes off around the edge of DePonny's base. Easy for me to say. So we have a cruiser out from KungFuPanda, accompanied second by a shield ship. Freedom now into T2 Navy as well, going to a Salem for his first build. And Freedom really being completely left alone in this match, and that is a very dangerous proposition. DePonny now reclaiming some T1 factories as he completes his what was a T3 comm upgrade. And there's another naval push coming from Team 2 in the form of F-Odin, mostly T1, but accompanied by a Salem, a cruiser and a mermaid. That mermaid's going to be a pain in the arse for sure, and some shield in there. That is a definitely mix of early game navy for sure. And Dro just more factories, sir, is definitely the order of the day from Dro. And Team 2 now starting just to edge in and wear down the T1 frigates of Dro. Pope Melvin not moving, assisting his navy to defend Dro to make this a fight, but to be honest, I think the outcome would be the same if he was doing that. Mathew now pushing Aurora, no, not Aurora, so that's been a drop. Mathew's dropped DePonny's island on the left hand side bottom of the map, and it looks like he's doing a little bit of max converting of his own. And this naval battle seems to be the centerpiece of the game so far, which, as you can imagine, is the way most games on this map tend to go. And we have a drop coming in from Freedom now, aiming for Dro's Island, and the transport just getting that drop in before the transport dies, and Mantis now start to go to work on Dro's T1 anti-air, and subsequently I imagine some more valuable targets in the form of mexes. And DePonny has his comm in a T2 transport. What's he got planned here? He's got scouts moving north. We'll have to keep a close eye on that, because that looks like and DePonny clearly go for a comm drop somewhere here, and he starts to scout the island of Death. Surely Death can't be the target, because Death does have quite a squadron of T1 interceptors there, just patrolling his island. Surely the better target would be a drop on Mathew or Pope or anyone but Death here, playing with... He's going for it. The drop order has been queued up for the edge of Death space, and the T1 interceptors just veering off course on their patrol. How close were they to seeing DePonny's comm drop? And DePonny comm dropping now on Death's island, opening up. Death probably wondering what the hell's going on right now. Death probably busy microing his torp bombers in to assist the raging navy battle going on in mid. Dro just nonchalantly walking his comm in the middle. A ping's gone out on Dro's comm. I don't think Team 2 have got enough of torp producing units to really threaten Dro. There are a few destroyers there, I guess, but Dro withdrawing in time, I imagine. Meanwhile, this drop in the north from DePonny getting some T1 land factories down, some T1 anti-air built, and some T1 point defense. And there's a drop coming in from DePonny, his comm soon to be accompanied by some T1 artillery. And this navy battle just getting bigger and bigger, slowly and slowly. 3 team members from Team 2 contributing units to this naval effort, whereas Team 1, only 2 players are helping. And now DePonny moving gunships forward. The T1 artillery drops was successful, and DePonny just marching his comm straight up the middle of Death's island. And what's Death up to? Death on some kind of upgrade, completing T2 and then cancelling T3. So Death, I imagine, is going to start trying to spam some kind of PD wall, and the gunships coming in now for Death. Not enough really to threaten his comm, but they were going for what looks like the T2 power station of Death anyway, but more than enough T1 interceptors to deal with that for now. But Freedom bringing his air over and annihilating the T1 air of Death. Pope Melvin bringing his T1 air into assist as well, but he's going to be 2 versus 1 against the interceptors of Freedom and KungFuPanda. And DePonny's comm now in range of Death, opens up on his comm and starts spamming T1 point defense. Man, they're going up fast. Death getting his own T1 point defense up, but DePonny with the T3 upgrade versus Death's T2 upgrade. There's only one winner in that T1 PD spam war, and it is DePonny. And Death now having to withdraw his commander outside of the range of DePonny's point defense. DePonny needs to be careful. He's in the red. 3,000 HP, 2,000 HP. This could have been an overambitious attempt by DePonny. DePonny getting some T2 shield up. Can't blame him. And now it looks like the naval battle's been completely reversed. Mathew bringing in his navy to reinforce his teammates Dro and Pope Melvin, and F-Odin's production area now under threat, but certainly not outnumbered, as Team 2's Navy just mopping up the units that were pushed in by Team 1. And that probably looks like it was an over-ambitious attempt by Team 1 to pressure the Navy of Team 2, which has been winning all game. Mathew now bringing over T1 bombers, presumably to try and do something about this Irish comm in the middle of Death space, and Death trying to get some T2 Cerberus turrets up just to put pressure on this comm in his own base. But DePonny holding strong, feeling confident enough even to build a T2 power generator. That T2 shield though about to fail. DePonny starting an Oblivion turret at the front of the quickly thrown together firebase, but changing his mind and turning that into a T2 shield upgrade. And Pope Melvin now sending in some gunships, T2 gunships, to try and just take out DePonny. DePonny dropping into 1500 hit points. This is really touch and go here in this drop attempt by DePonny, as audacious as it's been. And we have a single Salem from Dro being microed onto land now to apply pressure as well. Team 2's Navy overwhelming the position of Team 1. And meanwhile Mathew spamming T1 bombers and taking out the T2 air HQ of DePonny in the south, assumingly just to try and prevent further drops. And that attempt is successful. Back here where all the drama is going down, DePonny throwing down T1 anti-air, T2 TMD, and Dro's gone down, and DePonny's moved in T2 gunships, and Death is not going to make the water in time, or is he? No, he's not, and Death goes down. Death is down to T2 gunships from DePonny, and DePonny just escaping with his life by his fingernails. Some might call that luck of the Irish. I'm sorry I missed the death of Dro. I didn't think his comm was... It sounds ridiculous saying it looking at the T2 naval units there from Team 2, but I didn't think Dro's comm was in any immediate danger. And this game now well and truly won. To be honest, even if the comm drop attempt had failed from DePonny, Pope Melvin there king as commander by the looks of things. Mathew shortly followed. Can't blame Mathew there, or Pope Melvin really. 4 versus 2. And as I was just alluding to, even if that comm drop had failed from DePonny, Freedom has been completely unharassed all game. And if we just take a look at the eco situation at the end of this, if I can get the bloody thing to work, Freedom on a massive income compared to everybody else. So Freedom would have definitely done some damage had DePonny died. So that was pretty fast-paced and furious. Love the the comm drop from DePonny there. Let's just take a look at the stats. So only 1 kill in this match. So the kill obviously being Death Squad, killed by DePonny. So Dro must have been a K. Dro going down before Death was killed, so I imagine Dro saw the T2 gunships and just decided it was over there and then. If we take a look at the categories, Freedom picking up 2 of the 4 categories in form of mass income, as we pointed out at the end there. Freedom unharassed and was just left to eco that whole game, and also Freedom producing the most units. The other 2 areas going to DePonny 4 kills, DePonny's eco, not so great. DePonny's kills, pretty impressive. And then the last category going to... Who've I missed? Going to Pope Melvin, power income, although quite a large chunk of that was wasted. Player of the match, really tough call actually. Team 2 clearly outperforming Team 1. I kind of feel like I've got to call DePonny as man of the match for this one. His early drops really hampered the expansion of Drow in particular on Team 1, and Team 1 were really never able to get going in this match because of those early drops. DePonny also dropping Mathew as well. But it's really hard to pick a player of the match out of this one. While we'll give it to DePonny, F-Odin doing an excellent job at Navy, really dominating the naval battle in this match, and Freedom would have probably won the game on his own had the game gone on much longer, just judging his eco there. So very good team performance from Team 2, complementing each other's play very well. Alright guys, thank you very much. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to help the channel out, like, subscribe, leave comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.